What does it look like when a country everyone assumes will eventually compromise decides not to? Usually, it does not begin with a dramatic speech. It begins with a shift in leverage. For years, Washington operated with a basic assumption about North America. The United States was the larger market, the larger economy, and therefore the side that ultimately set the terms. That assumption shaped everything from tariffs to industrial planning. But in a world increasingly defined by batteries, electric vehicles, semiconductors, defense systems, and critical technologies, leverage is no longer measured only by market size. Sometimes it is measured by who controls the materials no one can easily replace. That is why the tension between Donald Trump's White House and Mark Carney's Canada matters far beyond a normal trade dispute. This is not just a fight over tariffs, it is a fight over supply chains, industrial power, and the question of whether economic integration guarantees political compliance. Current reporting shows Canada has been deepening international cooperation on critical minerals with countries including Australia, and officials have also discussed broader alliances or buyers' clubs to reduce supply concentration and strengthen mineral security. The background is clear enough. Trump has pursued an aggressive tariff strategy, including new broad trade measures and pressure on partners. Reuters has also reported that his administration has been exploring ways to reshape critical minerals pricing and trade architecture. At the same time, Carney has presented Canada as a country that intends to protect its trade commitments, defend its policy independence, and build stronger ties with other middle powers in areas including trade, defense, AI, and critical minerals. That is where this story becomes bigger than one negotiation. The United States can apply tariffs, it can threaten more pressure, it can accelerate domestic mining plans, but critical minerals are not software, they are not slogans, they come from geology, infrastructure, permits, capital, processing capacity, and long timelines. Even when governments move fast, mining and refining systems do not appear overnight. Reuters reporting on Canada's gallium push and wider minerals strategy underlines how governments are treating these resources as long-term strategic assets, not temporary bargaining chips. And that is the part Washington may be learning in real time. If your industrial future depends on secure access to minerals, then pressure alone is not always enough. You also need trust, you need stable partnerships, you need countries on the other side of the supply chain to believe cooperation is still worth it. Canada's position appears to be moving in exactly that direction. Carney has not framed the country as simply reacting to Trump day by day. Instead, current reporting shows him using this period to expand Canada's external relationships, including in the Indo-Pacific and with partners looking to diversify critical minerals supply. Reuters recently reported that Canada, Japan, and France have been working on alternatives to a US-led bloc for rare earth and critical minerals coordination, while Canada and Australia signed new critical minerals deals. That matters because supply chains follow certainty. Once buyers start signing multi-year contracts, once governments start funding new routes, and once industrial planning begins shifting east-west instead of north-south, the old assumptions weaken. This is how structural change happens, not always with one headline but with a series of decisions that slowly redraw the map. From Washington's perspective, the temptation is to believe time still favors the larger economy. That is how trade wars are often understood. The bigger side can hold out longer. But size is not the only form of power. Bottlenecks are power too, and in the 21st century economy, critical minerals are one of the most important bottlenecks there is. That is especially true for electric vehicles, batteries, advanced electronics, and defense manufacturing. Reuters has repeatedly described critical minerals as strategically important for sectors such as semiconductors, defense systems, electric vehicles, smartphones, and other advanced industries, when supply security comes into question. The consequences are not just commercial, they become geopolitical. So the real story here is not whether one side can win a single news cycle. The real story is whether North America's industrial architecture can survive a breakdown in political trust between two deeply connected economies. Trump's approach relies on pressure, speed, and public force. Carney's approach, at least from the current reporting, looks more like diversification, coalition building, and strategic patience. And that is why this confrontation feels different. If tariffs were once meant to restore leverage, they may instead be revealing where leverage actually lives. Not only in markets, not only in speeches, but in the materials underneath the ground, the contracts built around them, and the partners willing to buy them. For decades, the assumption was that Canada would align because alignment was convenient. What is changing now is the possibility that convenience is no longer enough. In a world of strategic minerals, sovereignty is not abstract, it is economic, it is industrial, it is political. And that may be the real message of this standoff. The next era of power will not belong only to the countries with the biggest economies. It will also belong to the countries that control the narrow essential inputs modern industry cannot function without. Disclaimer: independent news or education or commentary, not affiliated with any government, military, or agency. Information may change as new details emerge. Verify with multiple sources, not legal or security advice.